everybody. Good afternoon. This is the Beverly Hills School Board of Education meeting on November 10th, 2020, and it is now 5:01 p.m. and this meeting will now be called to order. If I could please have Mrs. Goldstein, who's with us, please lead us in the flag salute. That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this moment, we're going to, oops. Did I lose everybody? No, there you are.
I would like to approve the agenda.
Thank
I
you.
second the motion.
Thank you. Dr. Breggy, before we go into, yes, I just want to make sure. Dr. Breggy, okay. Can I please have all those in favor of approving the agenda?
Aye.
Thank you, Dr. Breggy. I'm going to now do the public comment and then we'll do the report on closed session. Okay, we have 3 letters that were submitted. So, dear Board of Education, I would like to first of all say thank you. No, I'm sorry. Dear Board of Education, I would first like to say that I think our teachers in our district are the best and work very hard. However, it pains me to find out that them writing letters that they do not want us to return to the classroom. I appreciate all that Dr. Breggy, Mr. Seaman, and Mr. Allen's hard work in trying to return the kids to in-person school. Below, I present the teacher's argument and my counterpart point. 1, some teachers are working as tutors on the side. I know it is not allowed to teach with the district. They make more money this way. 2, they don't want to pay for babysitters until all grades go back. Currently, all full-time parents have hired babysitters. Why can't the teachers? 3, they are afraid for their health, yet Dr. Breggy has assured us that there's plenty of PPE and precautions in place. 4, they prefer to stay home in their cozy homes and not have to drive to traffic to work. It is time for the teachers to think about students and not just how about their needs and wants. 5, other districts are teaching from home. We are not other districts. We should be held at a higher standard. Our teachers are known to be the best of the best. Teaching from home is not the same as in person, no matter how you slice it. 6, other countries who have shut down have also shut down the schools. Look at England, they are shut down, but they have not shut down their schools because they know how important they are. 7, some teachers have pre-existing conditions. They should teach in the ILC. This would allow students who want to come back to those teachers who are able to return into in-person when LA County and the waivers come into open the schools. I hope that our board does what is best for students. We are all here for them, so let's do that. And this comes to us from Mr. Montoya. The second letter I have is, please explain how we are moving forward with reopening our schools, starting with kids with special needs and younger grades. Do recent judgments against Governor Newsom's unlawful orders regarding coronavirus regulations change anything for our schools? Are we working on having access to testing for our schools? I thank you in advance. And that comes from Jasmine Rastigar. And the final letter that I have today is 3. There are discussions circulating about the idea of mandatory flu vaccinations to return to school, and possibly also COVID vaccine when available. Please do not mandate annual vaccines of any kind. Flu vaccines pump mercury, heavy metals, aluminum, and preservatives into the recipient, and kids should not be ingesting or accumulating that. Thank you, and that comes from Ellen Carmona. And that concludes our public comment, and these will be entered into the record. Dr. Breggy, would you now please report out closed session?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Hacker. During closed session, the board considered and formulated a press release concerning LAUSD's claims that they own Beverly Hills High School. I, the superintendent, have been delegated the authority to publish the press release. Thank you.
Thank you. And today we have with us a very special guest, Mrs. Goldstein, and she's our teacher spotlight of the day. Dr. Breggy, or who's introducing?
Greg Bugby.
We will have
Hi,
Mr.
Mr. Beck.
Bugby.
Hi, everyone. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello, school board members, cabinet, and all those out there watching. I am Craig Bugby, principal of Horace Mann Elementary School. We like to say that. For those of you who don't know, when I talk about good teaching and I talk about working with kids, I get overcome with passion and emotion, so I apologize ahead of time. If I cry, you'll get used to it after time. All right, I want to start by saying how incredibly proud I am of all of our BHUSD teachers. They were well prepared moving into virtual learning, then took it to the next level as we progressed. Teachers are juggling new technology, new programs, new students, and making their in-person lessons work in a virtual world. When I was asked to choose a teacher for our teacher feature, it was a challenge as we have great teachers at Horace Mann and throughout the district. I had to narrow it to someone who wouldn't mind speaking at a board meeting, perhaps someone who has already spoken at a few board meetings. After last meeting's high school highlight, we thought it would be fun to look at the opposite end of the spectrum. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Annette Goldstein is our TK teacher at Horace Mann. Mrs. Goldstein, can you unmute your mic and say hello so that you pop up to the front of the screen?
Hello.
Thank you. Mrs. Goldstein has been teaching in Beverly Hills, are you ready for this? For 27 years. She began teaching when she was 12. She has taught TK, Kinder, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grades. When administrators are having challenging days and just need to see kids and be reminded of why we do what we do, many of us visit TK or Kinder classrooms. This is where it all begins, and to watch what TK and Kinder teachers do is awe-inspiring. They lay the foundation for all other teachers, and for that we are grateful, and we thank all of them. Almost everyone participating or watching has or has worked with kids. I want you to imagine for a second teaching 4 and 5-year-olds. Visualize that for a second. Now visualize teaching 4 and 5-year-olds whom you may never have met in person on a computer screen for hours a day. You literally have to sing, dance, perform a dog and pony show, and stand on your hands. A fun story, when we were in a PTA meeting with school administrators and our PTA president, who happens to be an aide in our TK classroom, the PTA president said, "You guys have to see what's happening in the TK room right now." So we all jumped out of our very important PTA meeting and we jumped into Mrs. Goldstein's TK classroom, which was amazing because she was leading a concert with 4 and 5-year-olds playing their inflatable electric guitars. But the best part was that Mrs. Goldstein was so immersed in leading the concert that she did not see us join the class. There was head banging, hair swirling, loud singing, and the kids were having fun too. Board members and cabinet, you have your props. Unfortunately, I forgot mine at my desk, but I just happen to have a tambourine and some conga drums here. So I'll be joining you when the time comes. I would like for you all to see some of the amazing things that our 4 and 5-year-olds are doing in a virtual world. Prepare yourselves to be amazed as we sing, dance, stand on our hands, and watch Mrs. Goldstein perform her magic act. Ladies and gentlemen, the amazing Mrs. Annette Goldstein.
Well, thank you, but I can't, that's too much. I don't know how I'm gonna make you that entertained. I will say save your guitars till the end. That's when you're gonna need them. Hopefully some of you have them. And if you're not comfortable, that's totally okay. I say the same thing with my students. So for those of you that aren't familiar with TK, my students are 4 when they come into my classroom, and then they turn 5 by the time the end of December hits. And it was particularly challenging, as Mr. Bugby mentioned, you know, having never met them before, starting to build a relationship. I thought it was going to be challenging. So this summer, I really put my head together and was like, what am I going to do to get to know these kids and get them excited about looking at a screen all day long? I actually wrote a speech, and then about 20 minutes ago, I threw it in the trash because I'm just better just talking. It was like I was practicing and I was like, this is boring. This is not what my class is about. It's about excitement and fun. So I'm going to glimpse down a little bit because I did write some key facts down so I wouldn't run over time and forget things. But really, the most important part of my day is making the kids engaged and wanting to be on the screen, because at 4 and 5 years old, there are tons of distractions. And the main thing I like to teach, whether I'm in the physical classroom or the Zoom classroom, the essential components of my curriculum are basically helping to develop executive function and gross motor and fine motor skills. So part of executive function is learning how to avoid distractions and interruptions. And being at home, there's a lot of distractions. There are toys on the shelf. There are your brother and sister running around behind you. Maybe somebody's making something in the kitchen that you want to see. So I decided right away I needed to have engaging activities that would really captivate my students' attention and keep them from being distracted. I mean, it works most of the time. For example, last week we were learning about the letter I, which is a vowel, very complicated. It has 2 sounds. So I made sure everybody had a cup of ice cream and a gummy inchworm so that we could put an inchworm on our ice cream, highlighting the short and the long I. And then we all said, eh, as we ate it. And so every time I talk about the vowel I, it's very easy for the kids to remember those 2 sounds because we just kind of go back in their brain to that ice cream, which was so awesome that we were all eating together on the screen. And then we played with our inchworms. And I wear a superhero cape because I teach the vowels as superheroes. So like Clark Kent and Superman, or like Spider-Man is also Peter Parker. The vowels have 2 identities too, right? When they wear their long cape, they're long sounds. So they yell their name as they're flying through the air, I, A, E. And when they're not, when they're just their like regular person, like Clark Kent, they rip off their cape and they're short and they make their short sound like I and A. So these are, as Mr. Bugby mentioned, you really have to be a performer. And luckily I'm not shy, so it works for me. So those are some of the fun things. I also use other food items. We were learning about tallies. So everybody had a bag of pretzel sticks. So, you know, it's much more fun to build tallies with pretzel sticks than to like write them on a piece of paper. And then we can eat them. And so we can turn 5, which I sort of tried to demonstrate for you on this piece of paper. They can make their 5 without tape. And then we can eat it. And then suddenly we have 4. Can we count back on and make 5 by adding them? So counting on is actually a really difficult skill. The custodian is rolling by with his trash. I'm so sorry. I hope you can't hear that. I think he's on his way out the hall. Anyway, so counting on is actually a pretty higher order thinking skill for TKers. A lot of kids can count, but they always go back to 1 when they're counting. If you have 5 of them and then you put the next one down, they not necessarily know it's 6 after 5. They have to go back to 1. So we work on that a lot with things like food and manipulatives. I'm constantly reinforcing things through music. I do, as Mr. Bugby mentioned, I do a lot of music. One of the things we do is some sight word learning through singing. I also teach math vocabulary, all sorts of things through music. So I'm going to demonstrate how I use some music right now. I'm going to play a video clip of my students. Mr. Bugby wanted them on here live, and I thought that their cuteness would just distract you too much. And so I just have some video clips. This one's going to show you how I've used a song. And you might think, why is she playing this whole clip? I want you to see, I didn't just pick like the smart kid in the class. I want you to see every single kid in the class can do what I ask them to do. So we're going to go through it. It doesn't take very long. And then I'm going to show you how I use music as a transition. So when the video clip starts, you only see a portion of my class. It's the late owl group. But the early birds are off camera doing their seesaw or Lexia at this time, or some other worksheets that I may have sent home. And then you will see how I use music to get them back on the screen. So the older students, they know how to set timers on their iPhones or their iPads, or they can know what to read a clock, when to come back from a break, but my kids can't do that. So I just blast music, and wherever they are in their house, whatever they're doing, they know it's time to come back on the screen. So I'm gonna hopefully be able to share my screen with y'all.
While you're doing that, I'll clarify for everyone out there, we got permission from every single parent to include them in a recording.
Yes, we did. Okay, here we go. Oh, it says network error caused the media download to fail partway. Is there a way to fix that? Can you not hear me now?
No, we can hear you. I'm not sure.
Is there?
I'm on the call. I can see what it says. Romeo, I don't know when it says cause the media download to fail partway. Did you already download it or you thought you had it downloaded?
No, I
Can you-
just have it open in a window from
And
earlier.
it played?
I could try it again. Hold on.
Yeah,
You have it downloaded to your desktop. If you have it downloaded already, it won't need the internet as much because we're trying to.
Oh, no, nobody told me that. Let me try it one more way.
maybe.
Oh, what a bummer.
That error is coming.
Refresh that screen. Just refresh that window. Like hit that little circle next to the house and see where the URL is. And if you go to the left of that, there's a house and then a little arrow that's kind of on the end of a circular line.
Oh,
There we go.
There we go.
does it.
all right. Gemma, I was at the right minute before, so let me try to figure out where that was. T-H-E, All right, boys and girls, who is going to sing it with me now? You ready? Can everyone unmute yourself so we can sing it together? All right, on the count of three. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, then we're going to start singing. 1, 2, 3. T-H-E-E. Thank you so much. Now we're going to do it one at a time because that was hard to hear when we're all doing it at the same time. Mayanne, why don't you go first?
T-H-E, I can spell that. T-H-E.
Very good. Maya, why don't you go next?
T-H-E, T-H-E, I can spell the. T-H-E.
Wonderful. Great job. Gemma, can you give it a shot?
T-H-D, I can spell the. T-H-E.
Good job. Max, do you want to do it for us?
Yeah, T-H-E, I can spell the. T-H-E.
Wonderful. Lehi, do you want to give it a try, Lehi? Okay, do it.
T-H-E, T-H-E, I can spell it. T-H-E.
Great job, Lehi. All right, Dean, you're my last one. You ready?
T-H-E, can spell the. T-H-E.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. Everybody kiss your brain. Mwah! I love it. Good job. So boys and girls, we are going to get ready because the early birds are going to come back on, okay? So we're going to pick a fun song to let them know that it's time to come back on the screen. Which one you guys want to do? Who has an idea? Which song should we do to get them to come back on? Mayanne, which one should we do?
The alphabet one.
The alphabet? Oh, that's a great idea. Okay, let's let them in. And I want everybody doing their moves. Participants, admit all. A makes the sound of ah, ah, ah. B makes the sound of ba, ba, ba. C makes the sound of ka, ka, ka. D makes the sound of da, da, da. Sing this song so you don't forget how to say the alphabet. E makes the sound of eh, eh, eh. F makes the sound of fa, fa, fa. G makes the sound of ga, ga, ga. H makes the sound of ha, ha. Sing this song All right, I think that's enough. So you get the idea of what that looks like. And I have another one to share with you in just a minute. Let me get back to my screen here. So you can see how those songs and repetitions really help them. They're super jazzed about being there. Even though some of them looked distracted, you could see they were playing with their little chips and somebody was squeezing a tennis ball. Everything has a purpose. So these tennis balls, everybody has one of these in their class. And this is how we work on our hand strength and our fine motor and gross motor. So everybody has one of these and they have bingo chips. And what you didn't see at the beginning of that lesson was when we were spelling the word the, we were feeding our ball buddy. So we were saying T and we stuck a chip in, H, E, and talked about how there are 3 letters in the, and then later he throws up. And one of the kids you saw on the screen, she was really struggling. It's really hard for them to get them out. It really is. These are tough. And so it really is great for them. I don't know about any of you do hand exercises at home, but 4-year-olds have a hard time holding a pencil and writing properly if they don't have good hand strength. So they have a whole kit of stuff, which I'll show you. This is what everybody got at home learning. They have a kit that has a whole bunch of bags. There's a lot of fine and gross motor things in here. That was the thing that I thought was most challenging about doing distance learning for little guys, because they need to touch things and hold things and they need to develop all of these things. And if I can't touch them, it's hard. So everybody has straws that we put little matchsticks in. Everybody has bags with lacing. Everybody has their own pair of tongs and little balls and bingo chips, and the list goes on. But they're well armed with manipulatives so that it can get all of those things that we need to be physically here. You know, when 4-year-olds try to write, because I have to teach them how to write, sometimes they're not ready to hold a pencil. And so in class to form letters, we use shaving cream and sand. And I knew the parents would kill me if I sent that stuff home. So instead of sending those, you know, sand and shaving cream home, we do things like wiki sticks and Play-Doh, and we are forming letters and we are building hand strength, even from a distance. So it's working. The other challenge was in class, I'm really meticulous about teaching them organizational skills, because I know when they're in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, that really makes a big difference if they can organize their materials. So when you're playing in my class, you think you're playing, but really when you're cleaning up, all this learning happens. So if you're playing in the house center and it's time to clean up, you have to put the fruits in one bin, the vegetables in another, the proteins in another. We've talked about this. We've learned all of this. You have to put your utensils or silverware, we talk about vocabulary, in the right bin. The dolls have to be dressed. The beds have to be made. If you're playing with Legos, they need to be in this bin. If you're playing with Magnetiles and so forth. And I really struggled with, how am I going to teach these guys these skills when they're at their home in their bedroom and the toys are flying everywhere? So what I do is in these bins, I make sure everybody puts their things away. So we put the crayons in the box, we put the little bingo chips in, I teach them how to do the lid and shaky so nothing falls out. So I feel like we're accomplishing it, even though we're not physically here. All this sounds like a lot of fun, and it really is, but I want you to know that through all of this, these kids are learning a ton. We've already covered 7 sight words. You saw the, but we've covered 7 of them. We've also covered numbers 0 through 10. We've done our shapes and our colors. We're learning our letter sounds, even vowels, long and short sounds. Some kids are reading. It's wonderful, and it doesn't matter what they came in with. Everybody's learning something. But I will say the most important thing that I do to break up the monotony, because even though it is engaging and fun, it's hard to sit on a camera all day, is the dancing. So that's what I do to break up the monotony. I don't know about you, but it's one of the things in my personal life that when I'm feeling down and I hear a really upbeat, positive song, it just makes me happy. Like I could be driving home from work and just like, you know, in a sour mood, and then like my favorite song comes on and I just sing and dance, and it just makes you happy. It makes you smile. And it's kind of impossible to dancing and singing to the song called Best Day Ever and not feel good. So I'm going to show you another video of what Mr. Bugby actually referred to. He came in, it was a different song. I think it was Halloween. We were doing Ghostbusters. But I'm going to show you Best Day Ever. And this is really when I see the kids going like this, or they're just, you know, reaching for a toy, or they're nodding off, or we've been working really hard, maybe reading a book or writing, because they are reading and they are writing. I throw in a song. And so this one I think you'll find really fun. And then I promise I will leave your screen because I'm sure you guys have better
Do we
things
need
to
our
do.
guitars?
Oh yes, this is when you need your guitars. Get your guitars.
Get them out, everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, mine has a hole, so I have a very,
Oh no, Mr. Bugby, you gave our guitar with the hole.
yeah, so that's okay. I'm just gonna improvise.
I didn't even get a guitar. Mine has got no air anymore
using-
either. I keep blowing
using
air.
my
I keep
base.
blow, it's just really, yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
you know what? I'm gonna have to refresh again. Hold on. I learned something new today. This is exciting. Okay. So you get the idea. TK is fun. It is rigorous. I mean, they are learning. I wish I could show you all my videos. I mean, they were reading a book today that had several sight words in it. They can write their names with capitals and lower cases. They're learning all the content, but they're having a great time doing it. And that's always been my goal. I hated school as a student. I mean, I hate to admit that as a teacher, but it really was not a fun place for me. And I had a couple teachers that stood out because they made the learning fun. And I really try to do that with the kids. I mean, even at high school, and my daughter, came home to tell me this really interesting lesson about skin cancer and the cells. And I was like, because the teacher made it fun and exciting is when kids are excited. So I hope, these kids are excited. They're coming on the screen every day. We sit on this screen from 8:30 to 1:30, all day, and they make it because we are singing, we're dancing, we're learning, we're eating. And I also let them chit chat during recess time. If we were in school, they would be sitting together at a lunch table, chit chatting. They would be playing at recess together. So although it's kind of annoying because I could hear them, it's fun. They just talk to each other and it's hilarious what they say to each other. And I really feel like they do feel like they really know each other and I really know them, even though I physically don't see them. So I think it's successful. In closing, I wanted to just say, even though I'm the one standing up here or sitting here representing and showing examples from my classroom, it's really clear to me that many teachers at both Horace Mann and Hawthorne are working really hard to develop experiences for their students that are equally engaging. And although nothing is good at being as good as being in physical school, not during a pandemic, I'm really proud of the work we're doing at both elementary schools. We talk, all of us, and everybody is being really creative. Everybody's working together, sharing ideas, and propping each other up. So thank you for having me. You're welcome to pop on the Zoom anytime you want. People always pop in my class in the physical room, just to get a laugh or just to eat some guacamole or whatever we're cooking that day. Cause we cook, we make guacamole, we make fried rice, we cook for whatever holiday or whatever letter we're learning. So feel free to pop on the Zoom. It really is fun. And if you have any questions, I'm available.
Thank you, Mrs. Goldstein, for being with us tonight. I have very fond memories of you, and I'm glad that you are continuing to share those with other parents and other students. I think that you bring a lot of joy to a lot of people's lives, and I know that you're a very inspiring teacher.
Thank you.
Thank you for being who you are. And Dr. Breggy? I should ask my colleagues, does anyone have any comments for Mrs. Goldstein? Is that your voice? Like, I got to ask that question, or is that a voiceover?
For what?
Are you singing? Is that you?
Oh gosh, no. I am tone deaf.
They told me that you were supposed to say yes. You didn't get the script. Okay.
It's funny because I am a terrible singer and I sing every day. Like I have a job where I sing every day of my life, like every day for every way, bouncy, bouncy ball. It's a sphere, shoot a 3-pointer, no matter what it is, I'm singing about it. And these poor children, they probably, they think I'm good. I don't know, but I'm not.
You are loud enough that we can hear her in the office.
Okay.
Good, really. I mean, I've actually been in Miss Goldstein's classroom and to watch her use every inch of the space with the students in establishing those routines and protocols that will last all the way through high school. Off the charts, amazing, always.
Yes, I agree. Mrs. Marcus and I'm sorry, let's go in order. Mr. Margot has his hands up. I didn't see him. So we'll just go around.
Just quickly, thank you for the presentation, Annette. And I just got a call, Taylor Swift quit the business.
Mr. Spitz.
Well, just to be brief, you inspire school board members. This is what it's all about. And your kids are lucky to be in your class. And it just makes me feel good to see all of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ms. Walker-Schuman.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Goldstein. I can't even begin to tell you I mean, it's refreshing, but it's wonderful. And we know how much work is going on in all the different grade levels and all the different schools, but to see it, to actually see the videos and to see the stuff that you're doing and how creative you are and how much love you clearly have for what you're doing and getting these kids engaged. It's just so heartwarming. So thank you for all of your efforts, for all of your collaboration and work with all of the rest of your teachers in your grade level and in your school. You really are an inspiration for all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Marcus.
I just want to tell you, your kids in your class are so lucky. And I mean, the fact that they get such enthusiasm and such engagement is beyond words. And I have to tell you, if all of the classes were like that, we are in such heaven with our preschool kids. I got to tell you, you're amazing and you should be congratulated. And I hope you make another 27 years.
Me too.
Thank you, Mrs. Goldstein, for being with us.
Thank you. Have a great meeting. I'm going to sign off if you don't mind.
I don't mind. You're good. Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to the consent calendar.
I'd like to pull 9 and F.
Okay, so do you want to make anybody else pulling from consent?
I would like to pull 9I.
9I.
And I'm going to pull 9G.
Okay, so Mrs. Marcus, can you repeat your items, please? I missed that.
Okay, F is in Frank, H is in Henry.
Okay, great. So I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar minus items F, minus H, I, and G. Can I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Marcus. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We will start with Mrs. Marcus. Your item.
Yeah.
Let's make a motion.
I make a motion
approval of 9F, approval of tube grant contract.
I think Mrs. Marcus is
I'll
talking.
second.
Thank you.
Just a comment on F. I made a comment in the question and answer period that this is a program that's been going on for 3 years. I don't think it needs to be done tonight, but I would like to see some presentation of how this is working and what's going on, even though it's a program which we've been spending approximately $30,000, though it is a grant from LACO. I would love to see a little presentation of the program. If it can't be done tonight, maybe at another time. That was my comment.
Mrs. Marcus, that's definitely something that we can show you at a future meeting. This is, again, a grant, and we could show you how money from the grant is being spent on the education that's being provided through the CHUPE grant.
So I just thought it would be important to do that since we've been voting on it for 3 years now, and I would like to see the work that's being done. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, it passes 5-0. Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve the office watch call reporting for BHUSD NEC VoIP phone system.
I think you may have been G. Was it one of the ones that was pulled?
Yeah,
yeah, so you know what, since I made a motion on H, let's move on H and then we'll go back to G. Okay,
I'll second your motion.
Thank you. I believe that was pulled by you.
I think I pulled it. H, I pulled.
No, G. So we are on H.
I don't know about G.
It's you, Miss Marcus. You pulled H.
I
Yes.
pulled H, right. Okay, I just want to point out that in this, it's listed as a subscription grant, and it never mentions that once the subscription is there, that there is an annual fee, which is not mentioned in this proposal, that there is an annual fee of around, as I recall, I was told around $2,200 a year or something like that. So I just want that, whatever that annual fee is, I'd like it to be reflected in this, that there is an ongoing fee every year. It's not in the agreement.
Okay. Did you want that in the minutes, Mrs. Marcus? Can we put that in the minutes at the next?
There is an annual fee, which is not reflected at that in this, it just sounds like it's a one-time charge, but it says a one-time subscription cost, but there is an annual charge, which is not reflected in the motion, in the rationale.
Okay, we can make those comments. We can include that information at the next, in the record. We can capture that.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Now we're going back to 9G. I'll make a motion to approve professional services agreement for Dorothy Clock. May I have a second? Okay, and Mr. Margot, I believe you pulled this item.
Yeah, I pulled this item because I noticed that the event had already occurred, and I just want to keep staff on their toes that we do not like paying for agreements post the event. The practice should be have these things in front of the board before the event occurs. Now, I know there were extenuating circumstances for this particular event, but regardless, we have to guard ourselves from that as well. So I hope that the practice comes in the future, that we are keeping a watch on these things, and we don't want this to ever become habit in how we manage expenditures. So I just wanted to bring that out before we voted on the item. It wasn't an issue with the actual item. It was an issue with how it was handled and processed. So.
That sometimes happens in event. I mean, simply because of timing. I mean, that normally doesn't happen, but it's sometimes inevitable. That's why it's called a consent calendar. I mean, just pointing that out, but your point is well taken, Mr. Margot. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll move approval of ratification for approval of proposal for demographic study and student population forecast for Davis demographics.
I'll second.
I asked that be pulled because I want to be sure that this demographic study and student population forecast does not include a polling of the community to determine the number of Beverly Hills students who are attending private schools, and other information such as their grade levels and the reasons that they're not attending those schools. I just want to be sure that that this demographic study does not include that.
So, Mr. Spitz, you are absolutely correct. It does not, but I just want you to know that we have had conversations because we agree that there is some really useful data in our community as far as knowing the number of students that are residents and with their families in Beverly Hills, and then we want to determine where those students go to school. And so while this doesn't capture that information, that is a different poll that we're looking into so that we can provide that data to the board.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, that passes 5-0. So this will now move our agenda over to the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to give you just a quick overview of where we are. As you know, things continue to change very quickly, not only in our community, but our surrounding communities as well. I just want to let you know that some of the changes with the PK through 2 waiver, the first change was the change from having approval from union groups on your property to a consultation, and now an additional change has occurred where the state is, they were approving 30 schools or up to 30 schools a week for a TK through 2 waiver to bring back small groups of students. They have now changed and they are increasing up to 50 schools per week with their waiver. We have, as I mentioned before at our last meeting, that we would be applying for the waiver. We have done that. We have had our consultation meetings with union groups, parent group, and also with the city for the community portion. So I've received information from the county that they have received our application. And as we continue on into November, we will keep you updated with the progress that's happening in not only with the TK2 waiver, but the other programs as well that we are bringing back. As you can see today, there's so much to celebrate. With Ms. Goldstein is just one example of just hundreds of our teachers that continue to impress us every day. You know, I think that we're starting to get used to our Zoom meetings, and I just want to mention the fact that you know, when you have to prepare, you know, it's not like what I'm doing here. This is easy. I'm preparing a PowerPoint, which is completely different from keeping students engaged. And that doesn't matter what age level. It is the toughest thing for a teacher is to provide that engagement. And it's happening in our district. And I can't underestimate the amount of work, the planning and the design that continues to go into our lesson plans as we continue into November with our distance learning. So I want to say thank you again to our teachers for everything that they're doing on a daily basis. And not just our teachers. I want to also applaud and give kudos to our staff, from our custodians, from our healthcare personnel, people that are working in every facet of our organization, to the district office, in the business office, to I could just keep going with lists of people that continue to provide support every day to our school district. And we couldn't do it without everybody pitching in. And it's really nice to see more and more people that are coming into our schools and our district office for work every day. Some other successes that we have success with our union, BHEA, for our addendums for our assessments, which are beginning both virtually and also in person. Our sports and athletics, that is a slow roll-in process where we are having kids outside and on our property at the high school doing some conditioning, and that continues to expand as we provide these opportunities for our students. And also the addendum that is before you tonight for a recommended approval for our special education small group cohorts. That is something that we recommend to you, and we are grateful to our union partnership to get to a point where we could provide that language for you to move forward. The county is doing inspections. We have been very upfront and forthright to our county to come into our schools and district office at any time to do spot checks. We are doing our own spot checks as well on our campuses to ensure that we're following all of the safety protocols by LA County Department of Public Health. We're also very successful in our health screening innovations. This is an area that not only are we meeting the health order, but we're also exceeding what the health order has put into place. And that also includes the testing partnership that we have. And we're very excited to continue to work with our unions on providing this testing for our staff, because truly that is one of the most significant ways to prevent the spread of COVID-19 is through regular testing. And so we're working very closely on tightening up that language. So some of the challenges that we have, clearly, it's just the cases that we have nationwide. You can turn on your television and you can see that the cases for COVID-19 are expanding in many states, including in LA County and our surrounding counties. So it's something that we are continuing to watch every single day, and we are in contact with people, public health, every single day. We still remain in our purple tier, which is the widespread transmission for LA County, and we are firmly there for now. So for instruction, the instruction that we're having with in-person, the exception is not just with what's happening with the small groups. We are really excited that we're able to work with our unions, but we still have a lot of challenges in front of us as we begin to look at additional in-person instruction. One thing that we're going to be doing, this is a challenge, but it's also a success for us, is the technology that's happening across the school district. We are very fortunate that the challenges that we do have in technology are very small. We are working with Bright Bites, as we have before, to put out a 360-degree survey. So that'll be parents, teachers, and students as well. This is going to be a different Bright Bites type survey, because this is going to have an emphasis on what remote distance learning looks like. And so this will provide us with some really good information that's different than what we've had before with our Bright Bites survey. So we're getting ready to send that out shortly so that we can collect that information. So as I said earlier, just the update on where we are, it's every Tuesday is our tier update. We have unfortunately been placed again in a tier that is above 7, which is the purple tier. So we're at the adjusted case rate is at 7.6. Last week we were at 8.6. I'm sorry, we were at 8 last week. Last week on November 4th. And so this is kind of the breakdown. Let me just go to this right away, that this is the breakdown just of the last several weeks so that you can see. Keep in mind that the tier that we're in, we need to be below 7 for the adjusted case rate. And once we get to that point, we can begin a 28-day countdown, so to speak, to being at that point where we can start to bring in additional small group in-person instruction. But we're just not there yet. As you can see, there's some trending here with some of our numbers that are going up and they're going down, and they're very reflective of what's happening, obviously, in our county and also our country. And the best case scenario, the reason I have this up here for you is because I want you to look at, if next Tuesday, when we are reassessed for our tier, if we are at 7 or below next week, that's when that 28-day countdown will start. And we have to stay below 7.0 or lower for 28 days. So in the best case scenario, if we were assessed next week to a 7.0 or below, and you start that 28-day countdown, that would put us right at December 16th, which is right on the heels of our winter break. So I know this is very disappointing news to many people, but I want to share this with you so that when it comes to planning, that you have an idea of kind of where we're headed. We will continue throughout the holidays to update you on this information. But I wanted to at least let you know that at this point, unless metrics change for the larger population, it looks like this will be a January phase in And that is also very dependent on what the metrics are for LA County. Thought this was an interesting slide through EdSource, and this is very reflective of where we are as a state. And the purple is counties that are mostly distance learning, which you can see that LA County is firmly in distance learning because we are still in Tier 1. And then you can see that the orange counties, which includes Orange County, ironically enough, and they are in a more of a hybrid situation where they're starting to bring back that in-person learning at a more general population than we are at this point. And then just the mixed is also in the red, and that's obviously going from the purple tier to the red tier, which is Tier 2, to orange. So we've got a ways to go, but I wanted to show you this because it's very reflective of where we are as a county. And this is beginning to change kind of nationwide. It's not going in the direction that we want, but it's something that we will continue to look at every day. And as a reminder, we all play a part in ensuring that we keep the transmission rate down as much as possible. As I mentioned with the TK through 2 waiver, again, I think it's important just to keep these numbers in front of us. I think it's also really important to be able to share that under any circumstance, when we start to bring back our students, even now with our smaller group in-person learning for our assessments and with our special education population, is that we are still limited. And so there's still parameters and protocols that are in place to be able to bring in-person learning back. And so we expect that will continue into the next semester, into the beginning of 2021. And so with our TK through 2 waiver, as I mentioned, the county has confirmed receipt of our application. It takes 2 to 3 weeks before, for processing. Again, we don't really have the numbers for low-income students to be the first selected, but I think that, after the officials are awarding 50 schools a week, that I could see that happening sometime in December. However, and it's not a popular thing to say, but it certainly would not be my recommendation to bring back these students in December, right before winter break. As you can see by Ms. Goldstein and the routines that she's established in the last several months, it just shows you the level of expertise in teaching, but it also shows the continuity of the education that's being delivered, which is so critical to what's happening in the classroom. And it has everything to do with increased student learning. So, depending on the processing time of this waiver and dependent on when that will be available, really the way that I'm looking at this now is that this is just providing as many options to our school district as we possibly can as we continue to create a way to reopen our schools. And we look forward to sharing that with our parents very soon because we know that everyone's wanting a more, kind of that bigger picture of what schools are going to look like. What does that complete reopening plan looks like? And you can't do that without metrics because we just are not sure at this time if cases are going to continue to go up or they're going to go down. So, looking at these numbers as that reminder, even bringing back TK through 2, it's not all students, it's 12 or less in a classroom at one time. And so it's a cohort A, cohort B. And so we're looking at bringing back at each school when it's time and when we're awarded is, maybe 120 students per school per day because of having 2 cohorts. So just want to share that information with you. Want to hand it off for just a minute or two to Mr. Seaman to give you an update on education services.
Good evening, everyone. We just wanted the opportunity to catch you up on a couple upcoming dates and some release of some information. The first thing that we want to highlight is the ILC. Again, per California Department of Education, we have to have an application process, and there has to be a start and a finish to the application process for admittance into an independent study program. The ILC application will actually be released as of Thursday, and it will close as of December 1st. These dates are important because, one, December 1st, we need to be able to deem how many students will be enrolled, which will directly impact our teaching assignments for those positions. And that way we can also assign courses and schedules and help students transition in or out of the ILC. So if you're a current ILC student, you still need to reapply for the spring semester. In addition, we do have some testing information. I know that there is some questions out there in the community. We will be providing the PSAT, NMSQT this January 26th. We will be hosting that at BHHS. We will be under the Department of Public Health. We will have no more than 12 students in each testing room. That communication was released to all junior families as of yesterday morning. There is an opt-in application for that process. So if you have a junior student or you are a junior student and you are interested in taking the PSAT National Merit Qualifying Scholarship Qualifying Test, please look at the Beverly Buzz and or look at your email communication directly from the district and fill out that application to be included. That application also closes December 1st, and that is due to the fact that we have to order assessments by December 4th. And so if you do not fill out by December 1st, we cannot accommodate you here at BHHS. And last but not least, there has been a lot of questions around the CASP exam. So if you recall last year during spring semester, the CASP exam was waived for the whole state of California. We will be doing the CASP exam this spring. It will be at short form, meaning the state just signed the waiver where we will be giving a shorter version of what was previously delivered 2 years ago. So by 50%. So it's less time. So where it would take us anywhere between 3 to 5 days to assess students in ELA, English Language Arts, math, and in science in grades 5, 8, and 11, it'll only take us about 2, maybe 3 days with even accommodations covered. We will start that process at BHHS in April, and then we will start that process for elementary and middle school grades 3 through 8 in May. At this time, we are still uncertain if we will be able to offer that virtually or if it will require us to be in person for those assessments. We do have clear guidance that the California Department of Education will not be waiving the CASP exam this year, but we are looking forward to more information. We'll keep you updated as we receive that. Thank you, Dr. Breggy.
Thank you. And just really quick before any questions, I just wanted to give a follow-up because oftentimes we share information with you and sometimes we don't come back until a decision is made. And I just wanted to give you an update that the 7-Eleven committee that has been established is meeting on a regular basis. I was fortunate just last week to be a guest in their meeting and to be part of some Q&A about our school district. And so the charge of this committee is to look at our real property. It's looking at demographics, which you saw tonight with the demographics report that we're doing on a yearly basis so that we have updated information. And then at the end of the day, this will be a committee that will be reporting out to our Board of Education and providing suggestions and recommendations. And so we're very thankful to the people that are on this committee. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of information to look into and to review. But it's one of the best parts of my job is that opportunity to kind of be in everything and be part of every committee. And this is definitely one that's really very interesting and very challenging. And so I just wanted to update you that it is a committee that's being well run, and it's up and running, and they are collecting a lot of information. And when we get a little bit further with some information that they're going to share with the board, we will share that with the board and with the community.
Thank you, Dr. Breggy, for your update and for bringing this information to us. At this moment, is there any questions from the board? No? Okay, great. Thank you. We're going to move on. Mr. Blake is not with us. He's not able to come with us. He had an emergency to take care of. So we're going to move the request for his presentation to the next board meeting. And at this moment, I'll defer to Student Board Member Yoni Kashanyan for his Student Board Member report.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone has had a great week. This week, school hasn't changed much. Everything is still running smoothly and everything is continuing to get better. While speaking with ASB students this week, I asked them how they sense students are generally feeling. Some students said that they feel like they're getting used to the boredom of not being able to go to school. Others said that the main problem is just not being able to be with people. One student said that it must be hard for new students to the district since they don't really meet anybody. I encourage all students who feel bored after school to join our ASB events to give you some time to have fun and interact with other students and meet new people. Other than this, some students were saying that some of their teachers still don't give them any breaks during the class. They also pointed out how not having breaks specifically in their math classes was the most challenging for them. This can be hard because some teachers go too fast. I would encourage students to email your teachers and reach out for help. If you think your teacher is going too fast, then make sure to bring it up to your teacher so that they could slow down and give you the chance to catch up. Lastly, the survey that I put together surveying students on where they think our district stands on a scale for racial injustices has been sent out, and we have received 43 responses so far. I'm going to put together a committee in ASB to start going over the results, and I'll come back next meeting to present some results from the survey. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kashanyan. Any questions for Mr. Kashanyan before we move forward? Okay, great. Thank you so much again. At this moment, I am going to move the agenda. We're going to now do a public hearing for the 2020-21 Sunshine Items for Contract Negotiations between the Beverly Hills Education Association Certificated Unit and the Beverly Hills Unified School District. And I was told there was no public comment, but I must read this paragraph. The public hearing regarding the 2020-21 reopener Sunshine Items for Contract Negotiations between Beverly Hills Unified School District and the Certificated Unit of the Beverly Hills the Beverly Hills Education Association is now open at 6:04 p.m. In compliance with the provisions of Government Code Section 3547.5, the Board of Education of Beverly Hills Unified School District will receive public input regarding the proposed 2021 reopener Sunshine article. Articles 2, President's release time, related to the 2018-2021 collective bargaining agreement between the Beverly Hills Unified School District and BHA Certificated Unit, exclusive representatives covering matters within the scope of representation. The hearing offers interested parties the ability to ask questions to make comments on this topic. The public was invited to comment on the public hearing by filling out a form located at bhusd.org public comment by 4 p.m. today. The Board of Education has heard comments and concerns, and we thank you very much for your input. The public hearing is now closed at 6:05 p.m. Okay, with that said, I'm going to now make a motion to approve the MOU addendum number 2 for small group special education cohorts. May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you. Thank you all of you for seconding, and I think I heard Mrs. Marcus first, so I will give it to Mrs. Marcus. Any questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I thank you. That passes unanimous. Thank you to the staff for working on this, and I'm happy we're making progress. Okay, we are now going to have an information item from Mr. Dustin Seaman on the 2020-21 Learning Continuity and Attendance Fund. Dustin.
We have an MOU to approve 11B.
We just did that. We did that already.
No, we did the public hearing.
Yeah, I asked. I
seconded the motion
Yes, and we voted on it.
on the addendum.
Yeah.
I
It's
thought we
already
voted-
been.
Didn't we vote on the public hearing? On the
No,
sunshine
we don't
items?
vote on the, no, we don't vote on the public hearing. It was just something I had to do. And then I moved the agenda, right? I went right into NB, and the three of you seconded, and so it passed. And so now we're in educational services.
Noah?
Okay.
I just need clarification because my understanding is the sunshine items, the transmittal is asking for board approval on these. Dr.
On B, yes, not on A.
On 11A. We don't need to approve those?
No.
Okay.
Mrs. Krasner advised that we didn't.
Okay, the transmittal then was written incorrectly. Thank you.
But yeah, I asked ahead of time, Noah.
Okay.
Okay, so Dustin, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Education. We as Cabinet and School District, we submitted the LCAP for the last 3 years, 2017 to 2020. If you recall, in the spring of 2020, they actually removed the last submittal of the LCAP due to COVID. And instead, in replace, we had to write a COVID plan or COVID-19 plan that superseded the LCAP. We submitted that and it was approved. And then they changed the timeline again for us for the LCAP, which will not be due, the new one will not be due until June of 2021. And they replaced this school year with a learning continuity and attendance plan. And similar to previous years when we would submit a plan, we always had the opportunity to be able to meet face-to-face with LACO and be able to receive feedback, make edits, and just resubmit. You'll notice, obviously, through COVID, we aren't able to meet face-to-face, and so they're able to send us a recommendation letter directly to our president, our superintendent, and to myself as well. And you'll also notice in the recommendation letter, there is no further action necessary. However, I know in BHUSD fashion, we like to achieve an A+, and so we wanted to make sure as a cabinet, we did make the updates into the learning continuity plan and just wanted to repost to make sure that you were aware as well that we did receive the recommendations as a community and as a board, and that we did listen to the recommendations, reflected said recommendations in each of the sections, and that we, after this, I will go ahead and resend back to LACO to make sure that they see that we did listen to the recommendations. It is reflected in the learning continuity and attendance plan. And we ask for the A++. No, I'm just kidding. So it is just an information item only. We had brought this to you back in September. It took them a little bit of time for them to review it and provide recommendations. However, we appreciate that LACO does read all of our applications and documentation that we do submit. So just an information only. And if there's any questions, I can go ahead and answer those as well. Yeah, Mrs. Marcus.
Ms. Marcus, you're muted.
I went through the complete report that you submitted, word by word, looked at it over, and I couldn't believe when they sent back recommendations, I couldn't believe that there was any room for recommendations. It was so complete. So I just want to congratulate you on whoever besides you and the committee that worked on it. It was amazing. And I was very impressed by it. I don't see why you don't get an A+ rating. And as I say, I couldn't believe they picked something. There were only 2 or 3 little minuscule things in there that were, I mean, they must have been really nitpicking to find something like that. So I wanted to let you know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dustin, for that report. And thank you, Ms. Marcus. Anybody else? Okay, thank you again. We're going to move on to business
I
and
would
finance.
move for the ratification of an agreement with WZI Inc. for professional services related to the litigation of an eminent domain case with Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion? Any questions? Okay, Mr. Spitz.
Yes, I noticed in the WZI letter, which was dated November 5, that their work, their services will be limited to oil and gas issues. And I would really like to know a little more about that. What they will be doing and why their services would be limited to those issues. It's just unclear to me. And I just don't know that we have anybody aboard at this meeting to help us on that.
Okay, so as mentioned, I was hoping that Mr. Blake would be able to join us, but as I said, he had an emergency. So we can table this, Mr. Spitz, unless there's an urgency here. If staff wants to direct the board, I think his question is a good one, and I would support tabling it if it's not a an immediate need to have this approved tonight. Can anyone respond to that?
I don't know if she is able to answer that question.
Who's here? I'm sorry, Ms. Dr. Breggy, you kind of you're breaking up a little bit there.
Sorry, Ms. Michelson is here. So,
oh, okay, wonderful.
I don't know if she can answer that question.
Okay, Mrs. Michelson, are you there with us?
I am. Are you able to hear me?
Great. Yes, we are.
Okay, excellent. I am not able to answer that question. However, I can find the information needed to answer Mr. Spitz's question at the next board meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you. So who made the motion, and would you all like to withdraw your motions? Ms. Marcus, you're muted.
But before we do that, I think it's worth mentioning that this has to do with our eminent domain case, and there is a timeline. It is time sensitive, so I'm not in favor of tabling this. Actually, I think we had quite a bit of time to ask questions about this, even in our closed session, and I believe that this is a time sensitive matter. So I would not be in favor of tabling it.
Well, I think it's the way it was posted. Is what Mr. Spitz's? It's the narrative of what was identified through the transmittal. So if it needs to be changed,
I'm going to say this: I'm perfectly willing to approve this, but I would like the board to get an explanation subsequently to just exactly what they're doing and why it's limited to oil and gas issues.
I'd support that.
Well, can I also add that WZI is currently under contract for us for both the Venical wells and for the Wolfskill and 107. So my understanding would be, Wade, I don't know if you know how this particular contract segregated itself from the others that were already under contract for. And the reason for that, is that because of the funding source? Is that the main reason?
That was my question as well.
President Hacker, members of the board, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So this is a separate contract with WZI paid out of the general fund. As you know, eminent domain expenses cannot come out of bond funds, have to come out of the general fund. We are hiring WZI in this case because of their subject matter expertise. That's the reason it's limited to the oil and gas subject matter, is because that's where we need their expertise in dealing with MTA. And that's kind of the genesis of this board item.
Yeah, I understand that part. I guess I'm wondering what it is that they're going to be doing. in subject in regard to the oil and gas issues. I just don't understand. It's just a little bit unclear to me as to what they will be doing. I see that it's a estimated fee of $100,000, which I think is a pretty substantial amount. I assume that expenditure is, since it's going to be charged to the general account, it's not budgeted for.
I would support tabling it. I'm not sure that I know that there's a timely issue with this. I mean, I haven't heard that from only from Mrs. Walker-Schuman, but I haven't been told that. So, and if I would imagine that staff would know that if it was an emergency, as you usually do know those details. So it's up to you, Mr. Spitz. I know you pulled it. If you'd like for us to, I would be willing to support if there was another board member to support tabling this. Or if you want to just go for the vote.
I don't need it to be tabled. I don't need it to be tabled. I would like an explanation after the fact.
I'd agree with Mr. Spitz. I think, and because of the nature of the document and the reference to specifically to litigation in eminent domain, we're going to have this conversation in closed about the strategy behind this.
I understand. It just wasn't something that we've discussed recently. Okay, very good. So we're going to move forward with calling for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. Thank you. Motion passes 5-0. We're going to move on.
I will move for a ratification of an agreement with Pro West PCM Incorporated, doing business as Pro West Contractors, to install sewer and water to the modular buildings at El Rodeo School for the relocation of the Facilities and Maintenance Operations Department workspace.
I'll second.
Okay, any questions on this one?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Okay, moving on.
I'll move ratification of an agreement with Garza Construction, Inc. for the installation of emergency lighting at Beverly Vista School.
So moved. Okay, all those, any questions on that one? All those in favor? Aye. That passes 5-0. Thank you.
I'll make a motion for the ratification of the agreement with Vector Resources for the installation of data drops in the new testing area at BV.
I'll second.
Okay, any questions on this one?
Just that it could be pointed out that it's being paid for by developer fees, so it's not something that's coming out of the general fund.
Great. I did have a question on this one. Do we know when this project should be completed?
President Hacker, I do not have the answer, but I'm happy to provide that information after this meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you. That'd be helpful. Thank you so much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's 5-0.
We'll move approval of lease agreement for Procore software.
I'll second.
Okay, any questions on this item, board members? None?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Mr. Spitz.
I notice the cost of this, the lease, the rental cost is $115,000 a year to lease software, and it just occurs to me that that's a pretty husky amount, and I'm wondering if that's par for the course.
So did we have any, okay, that's a great question. And my follow-up question is how many, did we have bids on this? And any Mrs. Michelson, can you answer that question?
President Hacker, my understanding is that this is a continuation of a previous agreement that we had with Procore. As far as the original agreement stands, I am not certain, but I can find out with regard to the bids being collected. However, this is a continuation of the services that have been provided during our construction program.
This is
Okay.
too vague for me.
So is the management software program for the bond management piece of this, or is it, I mean, it
Yes.
said management, but it didn't tell me what management.
This is our construction management database. This is where we host all of our drawings, submittals, RFIs, et cetera, that allow us to establish flow and communicate with Pro West with regard to their schedule and other documentation required by DSA as part of their closeout.
It's also my understanding as well that this is this hosts all the reporting that we do for the state, and even for our own knowledge. It collects it all in one place. As I recall that a few years ago, this was all held. It was one person that actually held all of this information in a computer. We didn't have this robust system in place. So this is what I believe that Precor does for us.
Right, Michael, I was just going to, I'm sorry, I wanted to add, the previous construction management firm did not use this, and we had a difficult time owning our data. One of the reasons we switched to this system was because it was very important for the district for now and forever to own all of the data included and the drawings included on this system. And yeah, I think we've had them for 3 years. We've had Procore for 3 years, and this is a re-up of the existing lease.
Yes.
Okay, any more questions on this issue? I'm gonna call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
Of acceptance as complete bid number 1920009, the Beverly Hills High School Building A refurbishments rebid performed by AJ Fiss Corporation, and authorization of filing a notice of completion and the release of retention.
I'll second.
Any questions? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That's 5-0. Thank you. We'll move on.
I'll move acceptance is complete Beverly Vista Middle School library enclosure for a new testing area constructed by AJ Fistis Corporation, and authorization to file a notice of completion and release retention.
I'll second that. Okay. Any questions on this item? No. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
That passes 5-0. Thank you.
I will acceptance as complete the build outs for the 3 facilities and maintenance and operations department modular buildings located on Lot C of the Beverly Hills High School, performed by AJ Fiss Corporation, and authorization to file a notice of completion and release retention.
I'll second that. Okay, any questions on this one? All those in favor, please. Aye.
Aye.
That passes 5-0. Thank you. Okay,
I'll move approval of ratification of amendment number 2 to the agreement for geotechnical and geoenvironmental testing during construction with Layton Consulting, Inc. for the Beverly Hills High School buildings B1 and B2 project.
I'll second.
any questions on this?
I just have a comment. I would like to ask you a question. It seems like that this is double the original, the whole thing is now double the amount that was originally agreed upon. The first agreement, the first amendment was for 314, then 209, and now 104. And so my question is, since the original double the amount of money is, to me, seems quite substantial, number one. And is this going to be the end of this, or is there still going to be some more testing servicing needed to be done?
Mrs. Marcus, thank you for your question. We believe that this will be the last of what is needed for Layton for B1 and B2.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other further questions? Okay, we're going to call for the question. All those in favor, please. Aye. It passes 5-0. Thank you. Okay, moving on.
I'll make a motion to approve Amendment 1 to the agreement with Twining Inc. for construction materials testing and inspection services for the El Rodeo seismic retrofit and modernization project.
I'll second. I have a question about this one. Could someone tell me, we had SSMP funds for, is that what's paying, is that how we're paying for this, for the cost of this item, or is this being paid for out of the bond?
Wade, may I defer to you for this question?
I'm sorry?
I was asking if Mr. Roach could answer this question.
Yes, at this time, this is coming out of bond funds. It may be possible to get some additional funding in the future, but to address this issue at the moment, it will come out of bond funds.
And do we, I guess this would be an information request for the next board meeting, but along those lines, I think it'd be interesting to find out where we are with the use of SSMP funds that were awarded to the district. So if you can look for that, I haven't seen an update in the most recent board meetings. And so I was just wondering, it makes sense for me, just by looking at this, I just assumed it was SSMP, but if it's not, that's fine. Maybe we've exhausted those funds, but I'd like to know where we're at.
Oh, certainly.
That's possible. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next item, please. May I have a motion?
I think we have to vote, don't we?
Oh, yes, thank you for that. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That passes 5-0. Thank you.
Okay, I'll make a motion for the approval of Amendment 4 to the Consultant Services Agreement with RMA Group for special inspection testing services at the high school buildings B1 and B2.
I'll second.
Okay. Are those in favor, or any questions? I'm sorry. Are those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, that passes 5-0. Thank you.
Wait.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
we voted, Mrs. Marcus.
I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
You can ask your question, but we voted.
I was trying to get it out there. I'm not fast enough. Well, I was just pointing out that the agreement points out that it's for an estimated 66, the rationale, an estimated fee of $66,098, but that there will be, it could possibly be more than that because it's a time and materials contract in which if we have to pay more, it will come back and we will have to approve any additional amount. That's what I wanted to point out. I'm not against it. I'm just want to point that out, that in reading the all the stuff that goes with it, just point that out. Thank you.
I move ratification of an agreement with W21 Inc. for professional services related to the plugging and abandonment of oil wells disturbed by the LA County Metropolitan Transportation Authority.
I'll second. Okay, does anyone have questions?
You're muted, Ms. Hacker.
Any questions on this one? Mrs. Marcus?
No, I've been.
Okay, all those in favor, are you voting, Ms. Marcus, or you're asking a question? Okay, all those
I'm voting.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, passes 5-0. Thank you. I think that concludes our meeting.
We have board,
No, we have a
Board
board
policies.
policy.
Before you guys all just say, that concludes our meeting as far as agenda items and moving forward. So now we're going to talk about our second reading and approval of board policy 3100 budget. Wade, how do you want to handle this?
President Hacker, members of the board, I've received no comments from staff or public regarding this board policy, so my recommendation is for the board to approve this change to board policy 3100, increasing the reserve from 20 to 25% over a period of time.
Okay, so we will call for a question to approve the second reading.
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading for.
I'll second that.
Second.
Okay, any questions? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. So now we will move on to communication from board members. Mr. Margot.
Just stay healthy, everyone. Let's get the numbers down so we can get the kids back.
Hey, Mr. Spitz. I guess the kids are back in session now after that. Mr. Spitz? No? Okay. Board member. Okay. Mr. Kashanian.
Yes, students, we had a Chefing It Up event today where students were, it's actually going on right now. It started at 6. Students are being directed by Chef Lise and some of the students on how to make pumpkin cheesecake and pumpkin mac and cheese. Next, freshmen, you guys have a link room meeting this Friday. Try your best to attend because the juniors and seniors have really good advice to give you, and they will be there for you whenever you need help all year round. Next, we have a milk and cookies event next week on Tuesday. And lastly, we have another game night next Wednesday. Thank you and good night.
Thank you for that. Mrs. Walker.
So I want to start by congratulating Mr. Margot on his reelection, and also to our new incoming board members, Mary Wells and Dr. Amanda Stern. And I took part last night in the LA County Department of Public Health Parent Town Hall. There was a lot to cover. It was an hour and a half, so I'm not going to attempt to summarize it, but I will distill it down to one really important thing. And that is that for all of us to return to school, it's going to take an entire community effort to really stop the spread. And that looks like social distancing, wearing the mask, washing your hands, and really following the guidelines that Public Health Department has put out. That is our best hope of being able to return to in-person learning in the not too distant future. So just a reminder, please, to be vigilant. I know that we're all tired of the pandemic and we're all tired of having to be isolated and observe all these changes, especially as we go into the holiday season. But please remember, that is really the key. Prevention is the key to getting us back to any form of normal. So I hope we all can commit to observing and committing to a pound of prevention. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? So let's all work on preventing the spread. That's
okay, all. Thank you. Mrs. Marquez.
Again, I would just like to congratulate the winners of the election for the school board, Mr. Margot, Ms. Wells, and Ms. Stern. And I'll be looking forward to working with the continuing board. And I just want to wish, well, I think we have a meeting before Thanksgiving. I believe we have a meeting the Tuesday before, if I'm not mistaken. So,
no.
Huh? Right? No?
But it's not on the schedule. December 1st is our next meeting.
We probably will have a special meeting between now and then, but not right now scheduled.
Well, if we don't have a meeting, everybody have a very, very happy Thanksgiving. I know it'll be a little bit different than it's been in the past. There won't be a big table full of a lot of people, I would imagine, but have a very safe and a healthy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you at the start of the next year, or next December, I guess. We don't have another meeting this month?
Yeah, the next meeting is scheduled for December 1st.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Okay, so I just following on.
May I?
Yes, Mr. Spitz, and I'll be last.
I would just like to mention that this year, for the first time in 65 years, Barbara and my wedding anniversary falls on Thanksgiving.
I have a great
Happy anniversary.
Congratulations. Okay. Well, on that note, I just wanted to really congratulate again Mr. Margot for securing a seat for his 10th term, no, his 3rd term at the district. Congratulations again, Mr. Margot.
Thank you.
And of course, welcome Mary Wells and Dr. Amanda Stern. I wish you much success. Be of good cheer to each other. I think it makes it much easier to work through anything and with anything that comes your way. So thank you for stepping up. I really mean that. And I also want to congratulate the other candidates who did not succeed in fulfilling a seat and for taking an interest in desire and stepping up and serving and wanting to serve our district. And so I'd like to recognize Mr. Chechel, Mrs. Triffman, Mr. Liker, and Mr. Rowe. I think that your interest in our district is great, and I thank you for your efforts. Along those lines, want to wish everyone a very happy and meaningful Thanksgiving. I love Thanksgiving. It's my favorite holiday. It reminds me a lot of my father, who who love Thanksgiving. And so it's just wonderful to just be with family and to be thankful. And I think we have, I believe in this country and I love this country and just so thankful for so many opportunities that come our way. So I also want to say, as we were sitting here and I was listening to everyone, there's an emergency public safety alert that just came through. So it says that LA City COVID-19 cases are increasing. Please wear a mask and social distance. Get tested if you have symptoms or might have been exposed. LA City is offering free testing within 24 hours or less. Results will be provided. Sign up at coronavirus.lacity.org/testing. So I just want to leave you with that note and wish everyone happy Thanksgiving and thank our staff for their presentations and their updates and for making all these items come to life through an agenda and a meeting. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Night.